I really didn't want the expense of a big van. I didn't want the nervousness of driving one. So I really do most of my cooking on the outside of the van. The gas mileage is good. The traveling with the dog, he's got his space. I'm not uncomfortable driving it. It's easy. I'm Cynthia, I'm from Oklahoma, and this is my 2013 Ford Transit Connect. Welcome inside my van. We'll start off over here and I'll tell you a little bit about the kitchen. The kitchen area is still kind of in progress. Since this is only my third trip, I'm learning a few things that work and a few things that don't work. But this actually is my sink. Originally, I wasn't gonna have a sink at all. I was just gonna use like the collapsible sinks. And I didn't like the aesthetics. So basically, I found this pot. I love the way I did my water. This is just a PVC pipe that I painted black, and I used a little Velcro here to keep this stable. But I can actually, when that door's open, I can turn it around so I can fill my collapsible pot or my water bottles or that sort of thing without having to be inside the van. The sink is actually very stuck, so it's not going anywhere. And then I keep my plate, so I always know where it is. And my bowl. This backsplash I got off of Amazon. Because the van is so white, I wanted something with a splash of color. And this was some Italian tile. And I actually had seen something very similar in Italy, and I just thought it was beautiful. It added a splash of color. It's just the peel and stick, so it's very easy to put on and off. Back here is where I keep some of my condiments, salt, pepper, my cutting board, scissors, fork, knife, that sort of thing. My daughter, as a van warming gift, gave me this really cute little basket for my fruit, and I love it. Up here is where I put a lot of my storage. I actually designed this for these actual containers to fit up there. I know a lot of people in these little tiny vans don't necessarily have the need for a refrigerator, but I like ice and I like cold things, so I said, yes, I want a refrigerator, and I didn't want to mess with having to buy ice all the time. I actually have, and I'll show you later, but I have an outdoor table that I can set up for outdoor cooking. So I really do most of my cooking on the outside of the van. But I do have this little 2-burner jet boil, which I actually love. About the only thing I cook in here is like I'll warm up my coffee or something like that. But anything I'm really cooking, I feel safer if I do it outside. But that's pretty much my kitchen. Now that door can open up, and that's where I can access extra kitchen items. It's also where I keep my freshwater tank. When you buy these higher roofed Ford Transit Connects, they have a lot of storage space or open space above the cab. And that's where I keep all my clothes, my toiletries. I am also, this is only my third trip, but I'm also learning there's a lot of things I thought I needed that I don't need. You know, I'm also packing for a 60-pound dog. So he has his toys, his leashes, his bowls, his food, and I have plenty of room. The idea of moving into a van and traveling around in a van, I had been thinking about for probably off and on for a couple of years. Initially, I didn't tell anybody I was even thinking about it. I have grown children, and I wasn't real sure how they would take it or what they would think. And I didn't have any friends who were doing this. I kind of thought, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know if it's a good idea, but I really did want to travel. And I had taken a lot of trips in my life. And recently I had been traveling, but I couldn't take the dog. Either you pay an exorbitant amount for him to be able to go with you to be in an Airbnb or a hotel, or he's a big enough dog, I couldn't fly with him. So I took some trips and didn't like not having him with me. Didn't like the expense of having somebody come and take care of him every time I wanted to go somewhere. So he's a great traveler. I travel for work, usually just day trips, so I was always taking him with me. I knew he would do great in the car. So I got the idea of traveling and going places and not just being home all the time or waiting for friends to make plans and see if I could tag along. But he was a big inspiration for why the van. When it's time for bed, this actually does become my bed. It is not horrible to get out, but it's also not the easiest. So when pulling out the bed, I pull it out. This lip connects here. Now, this also functions as not only a bench during the day or a sitting area if I have company in here. I actually can pull this off and I move it forwards and that becomes the dog's bed. At home, he sleeps on my bed at the foot of my bed. So I thought, well, I've got to make it comfortable for him as possible. And his routine is to sleep at the foot of the bed. So I created his bed at the foot of my bed, even in the van. It's a love-hate relationship when it comes to my bed. I love this little futon. It's very easy to pull out, to get up. And for me, it's very comfortable. I sleep on a pretty firm bed at home, so this worked great for me. What I don't particularly like, I cannot reach my storage from inside the van that is underneath my van. I have good storage under there, but I literally have to go out, open the doors, and go into it from that direction. Now, I don't keep my clothes down there or things that I necessarily have to get to, but there have been a few occasions that it would have just been much more convenient. One of the things I have that I think is a little more unique is a map of the continental United States, and I wanted a constant motivator. So I found this woman on Etsy who makes these wood puzzle maps, and I loved it. So she did the map for me, and then at the bottom I had her put "Adventure Awaits," because that's what this was all about for me. We have been traveling since August, actually, not very long. I bought the van in February and I thought naively, oh, it'll take 2 months, 3 tops to get it completely done. Well, let's just say in the first 2 or 3 months, about all I had done was tore everything up. Had nothing put back together. So it took a lot longer to do than I actually thought, but it was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed learning how to use some power tools, and the design, I was influenced obviously by watching some other people who'd built out Ford Transit Connects, and it was very, very helpful. It also helped me decide what I didn't like. You know, I would see somebody's rig that was beautiful, but I would be like, oh, that's not gonna work for us. I've got a 60-pound dog I've got to haul around. He's gonna need a little more space. I didn't want to have to worry about getting out of like a little trailer and getting into my vehicle and getting the dog in and out. If I wasn't comfortable, I wanted to be able to just get up front and drive away. Well, little vans take care of that for you. Plus, if I had wanted to get a bigger van, in my mind, I'm also thinking, oh, I want a stand-up shower and I want a bed and a kitchen area, and now you're talking lots and lots and lots of money. And let's get real, I wasn't even sure I was gonna like this. So I didn't want to make that big of a financial investment when I might take it out once or twice and go, ooh, this is not for me. Thankfully, that has not been the case though. I love it, love it. This is the back of the van. I talked earlier about all my storage underneath my bed. This is how I access that. Primarily what I keep under there is when I'm traveling, because I will take a lot of things off of my shelves so they don't rattle around, and I'll put them in tubs and they go underneath there. And then I have a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, and I cut that. I use it as a bench. This is kind of my outdoor office space when it's in this mode. So I can sit here and I can pull my table up. I can have my computer there. And then I take all these things off of it and open the doors. I have these bars here with the little screw things in it This goes through the top of my plywood, and then I have a outdoor cook surface. It's a lot better to stand up and use my cooktop and cut up my vegetables and prepare my meals with a little more counter space, and I don't feel as nervous about lighting a fire when I can run away if I need to. I decided that I wanted to get an awning for several reasons. One, I wanted to be able to have some shade, and I also wanted some protection from the rain. I looked at various companies and different awnings. This one I chose first off because it was the easiest one I could find for mounting it permanently on the side of my van, and it's a little awkward, but it is manageable for me to do alone. I do use that step stool right there because I'm not tall enough to be able to hold it. So it's probably quite entertaining for somebody watching me do it, but I can do it. I didn't like tying down the strings. I found the dog and I would get tangled up in them. So I use these little 3-pound weights that holds it down even in a pretty significant wind. On my very first trip, I had a blowout on one of my tires, and thankfully I was close enough that I could get to an area that had a tire store. Unfortunately, I got there at like 6:15 and they closed at 6 o'clock. Well, my spare, which everything had been checked, but my spare would not hold air, so I was stuck. I ended up staying in the parking lot of the Marriott across the street from the tire store. And I just pulled my curtain, pulled out my bed, never got out of my van, went to sleep, woke up at 6 o'clock, drove across the street to the tire store, was in their parking lot when they opened at 7 o'clock, got new tires, and off I went. So I've even done that. So if you see me on the road, say hi. Again, I'm Cynthia, I'm from Oklahoma, and I hope to see you.